Have you ever noticed how tired you feel, not in your body but in your soul? You wake up after sleeping for a full 8 hours, yet you still feel completely exhausted. Your eyes open, and instantly your mind just starts racing. You're late. You're behind. Your life isn't where it's supposed to be, and before the day has even truly begun, you already feel like you're losing. If you've ever felt that, like you're running on empty while the world just keeps demanding more and more from you, then listen very closely, because this isn't just a story, it's a mirror. This is the story of a man who didn't collapse loudly. He didn't break down in public. He didn't scream or cry or make a scene. He simply faded. And it's the story of how one quiet habit, done alone, in silence, for just a few minutes a day, brought him back to life. Stay with me. Ethan was 38 years old. If you asked anyone who knew him how he was doing, they'd all say the same thing. "Oh, Ethan?" "Yeah, he's fine." He had a decent job in IT, a small, clean apartment, in a predictable, stable routine. There was nothing dramatic about his life, nothing particularly impressive, and nothing deeply wrong, at least not on the surface. But every single morning, when his alarm rang at 6 a.m., Ethan felt something heavy pressed down on his chest. It wasn't panic, it wasn't even sadness, it was just a weight. He'd swing his legs over the side of the bed, sit there, and stare at the floor, thinking the exact same thought every single morning. Is this really it? Is this my life? He didn't hate his job. He didn't hate the people he worked with. He just felt disconnected. It was like he was watching his own life from a distance, like a movie he wasn't really a part of. He was just an extra in his own story. Ethan used to dream. When he was younger, he imagined a life that was meaningful, a life that mattered. He wanted to feel like his existence left some kind of mark on the world. Now, his days just blended together in a gray, blurry loop. Wake up, commute, work. Stare at a screen, commute home, scroll on his phone, sleep. And then repeat. His phone became the first thing he touched every morning, and the very last thing he let go of at night. An endless stream of bad news, curated images of other people's perfect lives, arguments that didn't involve him, but somehow still managed to drain every last bit of his energy. One afternoon, his sister called him, and during their conversation, she asked him a simple question. "Hey, when was the last time you were actually happy?" Ethan just laughed it off. He said, "I don't know, I'm okay though." But later that night, alone in his quiet apartment, the question echoed in the silence. Am I actually okay? Or am I just used to being numb? Have I forgotten what it even feels like to be happy? One evening, after another long, meaningless day, Ethan sat in his dark living room. He didn't turn on the TV. He didn't put on music. He just sat there in the silence. And for the first time in years, he didn't try to distract himself. He just let the thoughts come, unfiltered. You're wasting your life. You're invisible. Nothing you do matters. Nothing is ever going to change. His chest tightened. It wasn't enough to call it a panic attack or a breakdown, but it was just enough to scare him. And that night, in the darkness, Ethan whispered something he had never dared to say out loud before. I do not want to live like this anymore. The next morning, unable to sleep, Ethan found himself getting dressed and going for a walk long before sunrise. The streets were quiet. The world felt softer, calmer. As he walked, he passed a small cafe that was just opening for the day. Through the window, he saw a woman sitting alone. She was older, maybe in her 60s, writing slowly and deliberately in a notebook. She wasn't smiling. She wasn't looking excited. She just looked present, peaceful. Intrigued, Ethan went inside, ordered a coffee, and sat at a nearby table. After a few minutes of quiet, he gathered his courage and asked her gently, "Excuse me, can I ask what you're writing?" She looked up from her notebook and gave him a warm, gentle smile. "I'm remembering my life," she said. Her answer confused him. He asked, "Remembering your life?" She explained. "Every morning I write down one moment from the day before that reminded me I'm still alive." Ethan frowned. "Just one moment?" She nodded. "Most people," she said, "don't even notice one." Ethan found himself admitting something he rarely said to anyone. I feel like I'm just existing, not really living. The woman closed her notebook and looked at him with kind eyes. Then you're not broken, she said softly. You're just disconnected from your moments. She leaned forward a little, her voice becoming a quiet confidence. Your life isn't empty. Your attention is. She explained that our pain, our anxiety, our feeling of being lost, it all grows in the soil of where we constantly point our attention. If our attention is always on lack, on fear, on comparison, on what's missing, then our experience of life will be one of lack, fear, and being lost. But attention, she said, her words landing with profound weight, can be trained. It's a muscle. She then gave Ethan a simple practice, a task. Every night, right before you go to sleep, take a notebook and write down one single moment from your day. It has to be small. It has to be ordinary. A moment that felt even slightly real. You're not hunting for happiness. You're not looking for some great success. You're just looking for a moment of presence. That first night, Ethan struggled. He sat with the empty page, trying to think of a moment that mattered. What was there? Work was work. The commute was the commute. Finally, he wrote down something that felt almost embarrassingly simple. Tonight, the air felt cool on my face when I took out the trash. It felt stupid, insignificant. But he had made a promise to try, so he did it again the next night. And the next. Some of his entries were incredibly boring. The coffee tasted good this morning. I noticed the sunlight making a pattern through the bus window. A stranger held the door open for me at the office. Nothing was life-changing. There were no fireworks. But something strange and unexpected began to happen. During the day, Ethan started noticing things. He wasn't trying to find amazing moments, but because he knew he had to find one later, he started paying attention. He started looking for them. And 2 weeks into this practice, Ethan realized something that shocked him. He wasn't waking up with that heavy weight on his chest anymore. He wasn't suddenly joyful or wildly excited about life. He just felt lighter. His life on the outside hadn't changed at all. But his experience of it on the inside had started to shift. He found himself more present in conversations at work. He was less reactive to minor annoyances. He felt less numb. One night, he wrote in his journal, I laughed today, a real laugh, and it surprised me. A month later, he wrote something even more profound. I feel here. Here is the truth that most of us miss in our frantic rush to build a better life. Your life is not made of years, or jobs, or accomplishments. It's made of moments. And what you consistently pay attention to becomes your actual experience of life. You can have a life filled with success and still feel empty if your attention is fixed on what's next. You can have a simple life and feel rich if your attention is trained to see the small wonders in front of you. You don't need to fix everything about yourself. You don't need a new identity or a dramatic life overhaul. You just need to return to the moments you've been skipping over. So here is my invitation to you. Tonight, before you go to sleep, put your phone away. Take out a piece of paper or a notebook and write down one moment from today. Just one. And then tomorrow, try to notice a little more. Because life doesn't come roaring back all at once. It returns quietly. It seeps back in moment by moment by moment. And then one day you'll wake up and you'll take a breath and you'll realize you're no longer just surviving. You're here. Thanks for watching.